India's aviation regulator said that Air India needs to set straight its crew rostering system or face severe action, which could even include the airline losing its operator permission, in other words, its license to operate. The regulator wants 3 senior staff members responsible for crew rostering to be immediately removed from their posts. Regulator has 3 specific concerns against these officials. They've been accused of unauthorized and non-compliant crew pairings. All cockpit crew must fulfill key qualification norms. For example, the total number of hours that the crew has flown must be of a minimum legal standard. The violation of mandatory licensing, in other words, licenses to operate aircraft of all pilots must be current, and pilots must undertake refresher courses and pass proficiency checks as well. And systemic failures in scheduling protocol. This seems to indicate that there have been violations of flight duty time limitations. In other words, pilots have been operating flights for longer durations than they should be and may be fatigued. My colleague Vishnu Shom joins us with more details. Vishnu, is there a precedent of this sort of action taken on an airline operator? It seems to be the sternest so far.
It is the sternest so far. And I think that's a really key point that you mentioned, because it seems to me that on the basis of this letter, Air India has been read the Riot Act. They've been told either fix your rostering, scheduling, and licensing issues impacting your pilots, or get ready for very serious action, which could include, question marks on your right to operate an airline. Now, this is a Tata-run company. It's one of the largest airlines, in Asia. And it, given the number of orders of aircraft that it has, it'll end up being among the largest airlines on earth. After the Ahmedabad crash, to be told in clear terms that these are 3 officials, remove them, take action against them. You have broken norms when it comes to the rostering of pilots, mandatory licensing norms, and other grounds. And if you don't do this, then you face a serious problem in terms of your operation. Is very much Air India being read the Riot Act. Now, what I'd also like to share right now is that I have with me, and I'm just sort of reading it out now because I have it on my screen right now, a show cause notice which was also issued to Air India yesterday. And what you have described just now follows this show cause notice, which says that Air India operated 2 flights from Bangalore to London, AI 133 on the 16th of May and on the 17th of May, both of which exceeded the stipulated flight time limitations of 10 hours in violation of para 6.1.3 of the civil aviation requirement. So these were flights a month back, right? Not in the month of June, but a show cause notice issued to the airline saying that why are you operating these flights, right, by violating flight duty time limitations? You cannot exceed the number of hours that pilots fly. And so this was the older show cause notice, which we've now got an idea of. And now, in this order, the regulator, the DGCA, has come out with all of these guidelines saying, among other things, you are going wrong in terms of flight duty time limitations. In other words, the rostering of pilots. Air India has a lot to sort of say. They've got a response which has come out right now. They've acknowledged the warning and the letter that they've received from the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, which is India's watchdog, India's regulator. But clearly, a lot will need to be done. Now, everything I have described now may or may not be directly linked to AI 171, which was the Ahmedabad crash in which more than 270 people ended up losing their lives. But the fact that you've got the regulator taking the stern action points out that, it's time for Air India and indeed all airlines to get their safety protocols fixed, because this is a huge concern.